As long as you don't take the research and the fights too seriously, I honestly think battleboarding is a lot of fun. The idea of discussing hypothetical fights between fictional characters can and has led to some great discussion. But I've never been a hardcore battleboarder myself, and I've never been the biggest fan of when some people treat it like an evidence-based and exact science, because that ignores the fact that most works of fiction are first and foremost entertainment. Things like feats, power scaling, and the like take a backseat to compelling visuals and stories. A lot of battleboarders examine feats without context, and looking at a character as an accumulation of feats ignores what makes the characters who they are. And that just makes the whole matchup feel a lot less compelling. Death Battle is a great example of what I'm talking about. The concept of Death Battle is simple. Two characters are analyzed and pitted against each other in an animated fight to the death, with one usually dying in a gory way. And sometimes it works, but sometimes Death Battle will feature two characters who would never kill each other, and so the writers need to find an excuse for them to go that far. Almost always, this means that the fighters will act wildly out of character in the process, and it just takes me out of the whole fight. Did fans of either series want to see War Greymon burn Red and Charizard alive? Were people really craving for Batman to bisect Captain America? Did anyone else find it jarring when Aang just crushed Edward to a bloody pulp? Not only does it fail to highlight the actual characters, it's also just kind of boring, because you're actively removing multiple factors from a debate. The willingness to use lethal force is sometimes just as important as experience or training. Most people's definition of bloodlusted is something in the vein of a character only doing the most logical and effective attacks, which, to some degree, still ignores the actual characters. I mean, sure, Superman could fly into the sun and soak for a few hours before doing one big attack, but would he? The Flash could go back in time and kill you as a baby, but when has he ever done that? It'd be so much more fun for Superman to sunbathe as a desperate last resort, or for the Flash to go back in time to reverse collateral damage after the fight. I feel like half the fun of these crossovers is seeing how the characters interact with one another, and how they fight is a major part of that. But I can't even really enjoy it because I'm not watching my favorite characters duke it out, but I'm instead watching a pair of murdering stat blocks, wearing their skin, and using their powers. Thankfully, I think Death Battle has slowly begun to understand this, because they've managed to find ways to have wholesome or honorable endings to battles which feature characters who might have become friends in another scenario, like Might Guy vs All Might, or Yoda vs Mickey. I recently watched Goku vs Superman 3, purely because I was curious as to how Death Battle would handle it. I knew who would win. The outcome in my eyes was never really in any doubt, but I still found myself smiling at the end, because it was fun. Beyond the flash, and beyond the spectacle, Death Battle did a great job reflecting the characters and honoring one of the most iconic who would win debates of all time. Battleboarding can be messy, and I know that the discussions within it can be filled with fanboys who base too much of their ego on their favorite characters winning. Sometimes it can feel like the entire thing is just a bunch of random calculations, and the most interesting things in these discussions being threads upon threads of people insulting each other over how much a comic book character can bench press. But at its core, battleboarding is meant to be a bunch of fun thought experiments made up by nerds to be discussed with anyone. And the characters themselves are the best part of it. But that's all for now. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me out, and please stay tuned for more.